INSILIO, they are somewhat losing momentum. Unfortunate. They've been the most consistent team so far today. And they will lose yet another step out. That is bold, but it's working. Look at that. Magnificent.
Yeah, with the help of KIA from DRX, but still quite a funny one there where we see QXZ basically faceplant into the wall to avoid the bullets from the shotgun coming through from Redley. You could literally see the pellets around his head. A very unfortunate shot, and they're able to pick it up afterwards, which means Gillisu, as well as P90, going over to DRX. Very good boon there, and INSILIO will be pretty upset about how that all went down.
This next circle, forcing this northeast issue. The Vicious trying to move past Dplus KIA, who have gotten in the way, but VOIN KIA are also ahead of this one. After moving through the Labendita crater, Dplus KIA have been sucked into the vortex that they've created, and Guild are embroiled with it as well. The Vicious pushing in. Behind Guild now, looking to put the pressure on from the backlines. It's good for one. They find the flush. They're looking for those nades to continue it coming on through. Nolbu, though, moving into position to go for a bold rollout on the vehicle. Just getting some scouting, turns back around. The rest of Dplus KIA want to enable him to do that. Can they find what they're looking for? With the knock sent out across the way, this is looking good for Dplus KIA, but Fabian goes down. A potential turnaround on the cards, but the Vicious, they are suffering heavily, and it's just David left. A spray down from the high ground, and Dplus KIA handle it. One knock sent back over towards Fabian, and they'll have to move past VOIN KIA. However, they found 3 points already.
It's an unfortunate conclusion to the Vicious' chapter there from Dplus KIA. Themselves a good spot in the circle now, going up towards that western side. There's still VOIN KIA in the way, like you say, and Falcons in front of that. But RCB, Loxy, from a long distance shot over on the central side of the map, just sat along that ridge side. They are able to find one of the players from Falcons. Again, it's a really awkward position to be in on this northeast side, because a lot of fights have to conclude before any one of them can start to work the rest of the issue. I love that from Team Spirit, though. Nice sneaky maneuver, head over towards the single compound that sits on that low ground.
In the midst of it all, trying to weather the maelstrom. Falcons, they tried to make that rotate earlier. You saw that knock that came through. That did get picked up and rezzed, but since then they've now lost one player. Another's been knocked. That just got rezzed back up there, but still suffering, and Team Spirit have denied them access to it now, creating a little island for themselves in the midst of it all. VOIN KIA, they've been in this crater for a while, and now Dplus KIA are looking to try and blast them out of it. Nolbu nade over, gets it open. A Potato's the second to fall, and that's going to bubble straight into the waiting arms of Razak. Now it's just Zeta left for VOIN KIA. Not really too much to do about it, and a clinical approach there from Dplus KIA.
So I was talking about at the start of the game. It's a team that I really wanted to see do a lot better. And I mean, it usually does start from Nolbu starting to make some sketchy plays. And I like to see it, honestly. A lot of times, Nolbu does have to drag his team kicking and screaming towards a lot of these engagements. But once that does happen, Ulsal seems to wake up a little bit. And Fabian's off angles get just a little bit better as well, which is great to see. I mean, Dplus KIA, strong South Korean squad. They were one of the first South Korean squads to really show the power of South Korea in the first place here in PUBG Mobile. So it would be a shame not to see them in the top 5 here in the grand finals. Nades across over towards Cheongji Bao. That's Enigma Galaxy. Ralph finding one, and another goes down.
Ralph's off angle there for Enigma Galaxy, catching TJB completely off guard. He stayed out closer to the blue than the rest of them. And TJB lose half of their team. Now, Enigma Galaxy, though, have an approach to make. Do they choose to go towards RCB, or are they going to slam straight into 4MV? The team currently ahead of them on the southwest side. 4MV have been quiet so far this match. No elims, but they have a really strong compound on the southwest side, Blank. It's going to be so hard to move past it for teams like TJB, for Enigma Galaxy, for what's left of Alpha 7, and for DRX.
Yeah, for 4MV, it's a good spot. It's unfortunately somewhat open, but I don't really think that 4MV minds too much about that. They quite like the idea of open terrain, open shots over towards a lot of these teams on the south, and they'll be feeling good after the last game. Zara opened things up quite nicely over towards Na'Vi, though. And again, we were talking earlier that those teams on the north need some breathing room. And I would say that both Influence Rage Falcons would be quite happy if RCB could just sweep aside Na'Vi, allowing them to spread a little bit more room over towards that western side. For Team Spirit though, John, this is a great opportunity for them. Circle moving a little bit further over towards the east indicates they might have a bit more time in the sun here.
Alpha 7 going down, losing their last player. Enigma Galaxy removed the Thorn from their side, and their approach is made 2% easier towards 4MV because it is just such a tough run-up, but they're going to go for it. Mounting that offensive, Snowick's leading the charge a little bit closer now. They stop at the road, so they are regrouping here, just making that first maneuver nice and early. DRX actually have sent ahead of this rotate blank, which means that Enigma Galaxy are now fairly uncontested on this approach, but Redox is still wary of TJB to their north side. You could see that those angles could maybe be a little bit troublesome, but Redox has it on lock.
For Enigma Galaxy, life's hard right now. It's not easy to make their way through. Narvalo drives through a hail of bullets. They send his way, sparking off the side of the vehicle. Will survive for the time being. RCB now looking to push a little bit further over towards that western side, clear out some of these teams potentially. Enigma Galaxy, they get involved, but I think Tong Jiabao are likely the next victims on the list. DRX have already found a strong spot to play down towards the south side. Not likely to get cleaned up until later. Refus, though, will find one over towards Enigma Galaxy, and they're still going strong here, finding one more after another. 2 elims found now for 4MV, and they were barely able to get close.
Narvalo managed to get ahead of it, but he's the last player now to stand for Enigma Galaxy, and RCB have him on lockdown. Should be fairly difficult to make it too much further. Sliver of HP, and that one snatched away fairly quickly. RCB able to pick up the point. Enigma Galaxy are out. So, a clear run towards the top for Team Spirit on this match blank. They need to try and put some points up here to get back in that contest, closer towards the 43-point mark that INSILIO have, and even closer towards the 53 points now that 4MV have. And if 4MV can get over this next ridgeline, it's going to be a hell of a chase.
Yeah, honestly, I think 4MV could make their way down towards DRX. They know that rotational path came through. It's a question of what the wildcard team and TJB want to do next, though, because if TJB would like to battering ram their way down towards the south side, there's not much 4MV can do about it. They'll be distracted with it for a little while. I imagine they'll conclude that fight, but that might delay them too much. So it sort of does depend on how crazy the TJB want to get.
Beast looking to try and hold out for Falcons, but top taken down low means his teammate's going to be denied.
He's just like, what just happened?
Like, what? Guys, come on. That was a nade. What you doing? Dplus KIA, though, they've been sweeping pretty effectively. 7 elims so far, and now they're turning their attention to Influence Rage, and I'm pretty sure that they wish that didn't happen. What a spray down, what a roll around. Fabian does go down again, but he's got 3 elims, he's doing the work. East now the last to stand, but Dplus KIA handling the fight on multiple fronts. Influence Rage fall, Fabian is flushed, Osal is knocked, and maybe Na'Vi is a little bit too much for them to bear, but 9 elims already blank for Dplus KIA.
Yeah, gorgeous fight there for Dplus. I don't think you could have asked for much better there because both fights concluded so quickly that now you can deal with that western push really easily. For Na'Vi, in their head, it's like there's at least 3 teams over there. So if a fight's taking place, like we'll have the drop on them, we'll get third party. But in this case, it's a full 1v1. More damage coming through down towards that south side. It's the Thunder Talks. Tong Jiabao picks up 1 on the back line of Na'Vi. Surprisingly, Triple S doing a lot of damage. 2 players down. Now Dplus might want to capitalize off the back of this. That is the case. It was either Tong Jiabao went down and harassed RCB, or they head up towards Na'Vi, but potentially it's both. It's actually just both.
Why not both? Nade over the top, coming on through. Oh, a big pickup, a double, and an immediate burst right over the top of them. Osal doesn't have time to get these players back up. The zone's pushing in. You can't res out here. 2 points immediately snapped back by Na'Vi. And they are able to clock on to Dplus's game. 6 looking to put the final nade over. Osal now running for the hills, trying to spray down Na'Vi, keep them back to the blue.
Na'Vi putting the pins in the board, sinking their battleships in the process. Very, very well done. Those nades were insanely placed. Apex with another down towards Thunder Talks. Not likely they were getting across that road in the first place. It's a very, very difficult position to play for Thunder Talks, and 4MV just have this angle. DRX did go down earlier. Another pick off there for 4MV, and it will be Thunder Talks now out. But it is looking like 4MV are on for another good game here, John.
They've got 5 elims, they've got some momentum, 2-2 split on the southwest side of the Ridgeland, but Team Spirit have Central. They're quiet, but they haven't been in any fights so far. I question how much ammo they're going to have in reserve, but we know that they can ration it. They know they're good in that sort of scenario. They got the maths to back it up.
They'll probably have quite a lot from that position, quite honestly, because the position they were in before, they had to expend a lot of ammo to maintain position. Here, they really haven't had to do any of that. They've been sat in a compound, they've not had to shoot anyone. Likely they're waiting for this circle to move off towards the eastern side, and it doesn't. It breaks even on the ridge side, which gives a little bit more time to 4MV and RCB. That is disastrous, though, for Team Spirit. They ideally needed that to head over towards the eastern side so they could take shots on these teams pushing off from that northern edge. Now it gives time for them to figure out their next plan, figure out what strategy they want to go with.
Team Spirit do have the ability to stay in the compound for a little bit longer because the fight on the high ground has to conclude. With Na'Vi going down, we now have 4 teams remaining, but RCB and 4MV are going to have to scrap this one out. 4MV regroup now, they're pushing in as 4. They're trying to move over to the high ground that RCB have been holding. They want to sweep this out. If they can get it cleanly, they have the high ground. They have that oversight on towards Team Spirit and can control their movements a little bit better. Loxy nade over the top, though, splits the difference as a split wide, left and right from 4MV, dodges the damage. Another one cooking, but Reefus and Doc have one as well. A nade over towards Loxy finds the mark. Doc now with a second. The shotgun from Reefus, though, barking loudly. And finds the bite down onto RCB. There's the flush and the step towards the backline. RCB cannot withstand.
That is incredible from Reefus. I mean, he's hitting some good shots that last game, but now he's out here to play. RCB about to be deletus in this process as they push further and further towards the north, giving RCB no chance to counter. But a great play from Team Spirit, rocking up behind them on that south side. This is a really, really good rotate. This is a great split out coming through from Team Spirit. They need RCB to live for a little while longer. They can start to take shots across.
It's Super Sub-Sara to stay alive for a little bit for RCB further off in the distance on the north side, and Team Spirit will put the pressure on. Osel for Dplus KIA, by the way, this entire time is surviving out in the open. Someone's going down, I think it's a top 3 for Dplus KIA, but Team Spirit bombardment now from the backlines. They're chasing down 4MV on the tables and on the match. Reefus low, Doc blasted away as effect, and Nomi handle that flank. Kitsune and Matic make their approach. The spray down is good. Baron under pressure now with an nade cooking, needs to find the mark, but Team Spirit looking healthy. What can Baron do here? Kitsune up for the challenge. The rest of his team's there 1-for-1 on the trade, and 4MV now have only Apex to rely on.
Apex bound the vehicle, has to make a mad dash up towards the blue. Damage comes through thick and fast, and Team Spirit gets the full squad wipe. 8 eliminations, not a bad result there for 4MV, but what a wonderful decision coming through from Team Spirit to make that wrap round down towards the south. Coming off the back of a game where things did not look bright for them, to make a courageous decision like that in this moment, at this kind of tournament, that is what makes this team so good.
What a special rotation there. I'm sure the desk is going to have plenty to break down around that one, but now it's just 2 solos out in the open. Dplus KIA, right? With Osel, they got so many elims earlier on, they're now in a top 3. This is a brilliant comeback game for them. They can raise their morale, raise some momentum off of this. Sara keeping RCB in as well. Not in the next circle, unfortunately. Osel, I think, is a little bit closer, but Team Spirit should, by rights, have this on lock.
Second chicken dinner for the day would be fantastic, honestly, for Team Spirit. I think they'd be really pleased with themselves off the back of that one, considering that, you know, last game there was a big opportunity for them to get another chicken dinner there. And this might have been the triple-triple. Osel looks for RCB. Sara will take him down and immediately gets clapped back onto. But 1 elimination denied for Team Spirit. They're not incredibly pleased with that one. It's not a massive chicken dinner, but nonetheless, it's still 16 points, dude. That's fantastic.
Excellent result for Team Spirit. Same story for Dplus KIA, getting a lot of points out of that one. I think that they might be the highest points earners on that match blank. RCB able to get in very late. 4MV going down in 4th place kind of felt a little bit less than we wanted from them, but still, we were worried about them coming into this game, and it was assuaged a little bit there. They were able to have an impact here. They were able to perform. It was a really strong rotate from Team Spirit that took them down, and I would not lay the blame at the feet of 4MV on that one. I would give the credit to Team Spirit. A fantastic chicken dinner with an excellent rotate to the west.
All right, well, Kitsune might be coming for that trophy this year, able to get themselves another win here on the board and potentially get themselves in a first-place position at the end of this match here. Max in 7 Worlds of Gaming here to break this one down. And honestly, there's a lot to talk about. I know Max and 7, you were very hyped to see that Team Spirit rotation into 4MV where they just weren't really spotted.
Perfect third party.
Yep.
Literally cannot say any other way. That is the perfect third party you needed to see from Team Spirit. I think
Did they lose any players?
They didn't lose any player. They had 4 players alive until the very last moment. 7, I'm so happy you brought that up. But no, on a more serious note, RCB I think took a little bit too long to take care of the threat of 4MV.
Yep.
The fight happened so late. The only option for Team Spirit to leave them their eastern compound was the third party that fight. And it's not just a simple third party they did. They sent it wide south behind that ridge to keep themselves safe from a possible re-engage of 4MV and also of RCB. Again, perfect third party happening from them, and our boy,
No surprise.
Nomi, he's so good.
Actually, no surprise Nomi was able to get their 3 eliminations MVP for that match, but what I am surprised, even though I was hoping it would happen for this Miramar match, Dplus KIA, I mean, I felt like they had to have a good performance here. They had to go into that damage control, and they were able to do it so well. Not only taking the fight with the Vicious, they were able to win that engagement, but on top of that, when we were watching the match, something that you pointed out to me, Max, is just how good they were able to just clear the north.
They cleared the north so well. Actually, I want to go a little bit early in the fight. They had 2 teams above them. I think it was Falcons and Influence Rage. They understood Influence Rage and Falcons can see us from that position. We're going to send them to VOIN, take the fight. It's a bit of a risk, sure, but if we win the fight, we're in a position where we're safe from those 2 teams on the high ground. And then they start having a 3-way fight up north versus Na'Vi. And they're like, this is our one single opportunity to maybe sure not get the win, but we can get so many eliminations. And we saw this game, right, 7? Eliminations alone outshadowed all of their points combined of the last 4 matches.
And for Dplus, if you rewind it even more, right when they were done fighting the Vicious, they saw that VOIN Donkey was possibly thinking about third-partying them, going for a fight for them. They started shooting at VOIN Donkey, and they stopped any train of thought of maybe VOIN Donkey pushing them.
We can see here how many eliminations they got. Only 5 on the table, unfortunately for them. But again, not going to matter too much when you get the chicken dinner. And your boy Nomi taking 0 damage. That's not much damage.
He got 3 elims and took 0 damage. He's untouchable. What are these
What a
stats?
legend.
What an absolute legend here in PUBG Mobile Esports. Whoa.
He's not one to be underestimated, I'd say here. As we obviously take a look at not only them, but 4MV. Like, the fact is, we were wondering, 4MV, they were a flash in the pan in league stage when they had a massive pop-off game. I'd say a pretty decent result here.
Yep. I mean, I was hoping for, I think I asked, what was it, a top 5, minimum 5 eliminations. They were able to give us a top 4, backed up with some eliminations too. But it comes down to the way that this team has been able to play. Earlier, we were wondering, okay, are they going to be able to follow up that amazing performance that we just saw in the last Erangel? With 1/3 almost done of this tournament, of this PMGC 2024, this team is looking like a champion caliber team for me. The adjustments that they've been able to do, from league stage, not only Doc not being too overtly aggressive, the team being able to dare to back him up, and them just deciding, you know what, we don't really have to take a fight. Let's wait until the later matches. What do you think?
I have to agree. I think that 4MV could win.
A CCT. You're calling him a CCT.
If they keep this kind
Wait,
of
Max,
going, yes, because
don't say
like,
it.
It's, okay, well,
Avenger level threat team right
Avenger
now.
level threat team though. We're still weighing a little bit, but realistically,
Yeah.
when we look back at the league stage, right, they would get this
Yes.
big like 20+ elimination bomb chicken dinner, which is fantastic. We didn't see a follow-up performance off the back of those wins, right? We're seeing it now.
Yes.
We're seeing those consistent points coming on board, which helps you elevate those chicken dinners even more theoretically, because you're not just having a big point gap created in one game, then falling back down. They're getting up, creating that gap, and they're staying up there. They're staying on top of the leaderboard, and especially, as you said, those splits, they're not losing Doc, they're just having so many good angles in the play, and especially, I have to say, the timing of their transition 7 was so good. They had, I think it was Baron as an anchor point in the circle.
A quick regroup.
Avoid the sudden fights, quick regroup, and have a game-winning positions under control so quickly. 4MV here, they learned their mistakes from their mistakes in league stage, and here they are the best team they could possibly become in these grand finals.
I mean, you can see there 8 eliminations, 12 points total. With that said, RCB, a team that also needed some points here, starting
let's
with
talk
Miramar,
about
they were able
them.
to put up 12 points.
Let's talk about them, because for them, you really have to wonder, how easy is it for you to team fight? Because of the lack of communication you can really pull off with your team. How do they work around Sara not being able to communicate with this team? And to be able to see them get late is obviously a really good sign, because they struggle to get placement points. Eliminations is something that you should be able to pull off even without the full communication. But to win team fights and not lose a player, I feel like that's where it gets very tough for a team like this right now.
It takes a lot of time, I would say, during fights to adapt your communication to someone that does not speak the language. Like, I think very naturally you're going to revert to your your like normal language you speak. Like I think here for most of the players it's Turkish, and so Sarah might feel a bit left out, which is unfortunate. But it's just how this whole ordeal is going to work out for Sarah joining the team so late for these grand finals.
I think it was definitely an expectation, and at what point do you, if you're Sarah, do you start getting a little bit frustrated? And you don't want to get to that point. And now we're going to be looking at the overall. This is the thing with 4MB. This is why I'm mentioning that they could end up winning this tournament, this PMGC, because they're following it up. Currently 43 eliminations. On top of that, a chicken dinner. And look at the gap. Even Team Spirit with 2 wins. Look at the gap they currently have with Team Spirit.
Are we going to see 4MV have twice the amount of eliminations as the second top fragging team?
Yes.
After this game. It could literally happen that by the end of today, they have twice the amount of eliminations as the second top fragging team. That would be a wild statement to make after the league stage where we were doubting how they were performing.
Well, I mean, look back to last year. We had IHC win in a very uncharacteristic way, just pulling off a ton of eliminations. And now we're seeing 4MV after they finished, I believe it was 4th place last year, looking to redeem themselves before. And Seven, I see you're spotting something out you want to talk about here on the leaderboards.
It has to be Dplus KIA. I mean, with that performance that we just saw here in this Miramar, they were able to jump up all the way from 16th all the way up to 11th place. Now, I'm going to be looking at some of the other teams. We were saying, okay, you know what, PL teams like TJB, TT, they need to start doing a little bit of damage control. They need to start getting those points right now. With the way that the tournament is currently set up, they cannot afford to. I don't want to talk about them.
No, we got to talk about it.
with the way that the tournament is currently set up, they cannot afford to just have a full bad match. And Alpha 7, what's going on? I know this man picked you, but I also picked you. But right now, they're just not being able to perform that well. They keep losing players early on.
And I'm not sorry.
I mean,
I'll pick them again.
Let's talk about it, though. If we're talking about Alpha 7,
yep,
the maps they get the most points on are going to be Miramar. And we cannot afford to see them have bad matches on Miramar if they want to be able to take the trophy for themselves. And that would be, honestly, I think, a big knife through the heart for this team, considering they finally broke that curse of not being able to win any of these big global events, finally able to do so back at PMWC, and to get to the grand finals and potentially not be able to do so for them would be very tough. But you know what also maybe won't be tough is how many frags you can pick up with your Infinix GT20 Pro with its 120 FPS and its dual chipset for 144 Hz. You can pick one up and play like a...
Whoa.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
If you give it to him, he's going to take it. He's going to take it.
Is my wallpaper?
That's a cool one. Hey, it's Barney.
Still Barney.
It's still Barney.
I wake up and I see Barney, I'm like, I'm having a good day already.
Well,
I love that they can't see Barney's face.
I think
probably
you
for
send
the better.
that picture to your mom, though, because she's a big fan of Barney.
She is a big fan. Too much, almost.
Hi, Max Mom.
Hello, Mom.
Is it like Max Man's mom 30 as well?
No, actually. In fact, I'll have to get her to play and I'll name her like that in game. Yeah.
That'd be sick.
Okay. and then she's going to be better than us, and that's going to be very disappointing. Maybe she actually is interested in the Ice Matter Frontier event currently going on in the game right now. You can battle up against the Frostborn Dragon, which we tried to do yesterday, but we couldn't cross that bridge. We couldn't hit our shots.
There was
and by we, I mean you.
We were trying to make that... Okay, pro tip, get smokes when you want to cross that bridge because it is not easy. If teams are already there, you're going to have a really bad time.
I mean, we were saying, though, this is probably, in our opinion, one of the best PvE events, fighting that dragon at the end that we've ever seen in PUBG Mobile. So if you haven't checked it out just yet, make sure you go check it out now because it is extremely fun. It's like a little bit of a raid boss fight, trying to dodge everything you possibly can.
I need to be carried. Carry me, Max.
We got the mountain on the 7th for that.
We'll ask Nepturus, she'll carry you to the area. Not sure you'll survive, but you'll make it far enough, you know?
Did you hear that? I heard her say, hey! Well, you know what, Nepturus, that's what you get known for, like leaving your teammates behind. But at least you don't get known for, being on Miramar when we're playing Erangel.
At least it's not DK. At least she'll try to pick you up,
Why are we just ripping in other talent right now?
We should be ripping into is that maybe a couple of these teams here that are maybe underperforming. We're looking at one of our teams to focus 4MV who's had a pretty damn good performance. I think the question for me is like, how are these teams going to adapt going into day 2? Because we've already seen so many insane adaptations when it came to league stage that really, when you're done playing, your day's not done whatsoever.
I think there's 2 points in particular, Seven, that I want to see improved upon. Is one, third parties. I think some teams try and focus on third parties a bit too much and sometimes to a fault, and they get eliminated. I think Thunder Talk, I mentioned it earlier, is a bit of an issue, but especially one big improvement that most teams are going to go through is speed of rotations. The edge is being held down like a fort by so many teams, and late rotations have hindered a lot of top squads. I think Alpha 7, I have to bring up Alpha 7 here, a little bit slow on the rotates, and the edge is always guarded by 1, 2, 3 teams.
You're being generous.
It's tough, yeah.
I feel like you're really being generous there in regards to Alpha 7 with the slow rotation, saying just a little bit. I feel like it is more than just a little bit. You're being too nice for this team. Decision making is just not there at the moment. We saw that happen whenever we saw them push into Novo in one of the Erangel matches with INSILIO being there. Honestly, 10 out of 10 times you would expect a team, especially with that kind of circle, to be there. Alpha 7 just needs to narrow that down. The one question mark, especially for Alpha 7, that comes to mind is how are the players going to be reacting to this? I know that they definitely come in with a lot of confidence on day one, but if things don't go their way, sometimes they start getting into their head, and I'm hoping that doesn't end up happening because, I mean, in the first 2 matches, they were able to put up good points.
Yeah, it was a really good step up from them, but unfortunately, this is, as we know, Seven, a very unforgiving lobby, right? Just a slight delay of sometimes even 10, 15 seconds is enough for you to not only not get access to a good position, but then get instantly swiped under the rug by a team that then took that position away from you. But it's still going to be a lot of time between today and tomorrow. We'll see what's going to be happening in that hotel room to hopefully get those players hyped back up for the second day of play.
I'm going to stay with Americas as well, and I'm going to go with Influence Rage. I feel like they're currently above Alpha 7, a team that we know that they can definitely get eliminations. We know that they can definitely perform well in Miramar as well. Right now, they're just not putting up those performances. And with the way that 4MB is currently performing, with the way that those top 3 matches are currently, top 3 teams are currently performing, they need to start reacting. If not, it's going to be a little bit too far, even though it's day 1.
They're starting to leave some teams in the dust here. And well, speaking of dust, we're going to be heading to our final Miramar of the day of day 1, which means we only have 2 days left to go. We're going to throw it back to our commentators here to kick it off with John, Allen, and Blake.
Absolutely. We've got one more game left today, and it is, of course, Miramar as ever. From the west side up towards Campo Militar, on the plane path, we are going to reach 1/3 of our matches found at the end of this one. We'll see where the dust settles through it all, because 4MV right now do have quite a big lead. Can they keep it going?
Yeah, 4MV have a large lead, to say the least. And I think, again, we talked about this earlier today with the Falcons saying that that kind of buffer will be very important for them going into day 2 and day 3. But it is, unfortunately, 4MV to be taking that mantle over them. But they have played well to take that one home. And I mean, just looking at that last Miramar, we did have a case where, you know, as soon as 4MV got that massive game over in groups, the performance immediately went down. That's not the case here. I think that 4MV has had to learn a lot of hard lessons, and not a lot of teams get a last chance like this to play again in the grand finals. But they've taken it in their hands, and they are reaching for the sun here up towards first place.
This a little bit of a hot drop in El Pozzo. I think they could potentially still see separation here between Enigma Galaxy and I think it's Alpha 7 as well over on that northwest side. So either side of El Pozzo is occupied, but it's INSILIO potentially with TJB who could have a bit of a scuffle. Down towards the south edge, yeah, it looks like INSILIO have already taken a knock sent their way, and more potentially still to come. The off angle you can see from Long is going to be established fairly soon, and up into the fight. Flower with the micro Uzi, no healing to be seen, and caught on the cross. INSILIO are losing players fast now, Blank.
INSILIO slowly falling off. I mean, they were on 43 points that last match. They got nothing off the back of it. They're looking to get some more points on this one, but it is a disastrous start for them. And I mean, to be fair, who else would it be other than Tong Jiabao, who are starting to have a bit of this, I don't want to call it a psychotic streak, but, you know, they're going pretty wild into these games.
Psychotic, a little bit of a flying party bus over the top there. And it is going to be the backup, and to be fair, there's no flushes sent towards INSILIO just yet. Redlick is in. He's got a little bit more firepower under his belt as well. No first aids, though. No meds to be sent on over towards 3TN. And a lot of low HP players for TJB. Going to mean that it's a little bit rough and tumble on the inside here. Fash can get raised, potential to find the second as well.
Yes.
Definitely don't want to drop the ball on this fight.
No, you don't. That's right. You are correct. Grip the ball in 2 hands.
What was that? I have no idea. Well, either way, INSILIO...
It's because I threw a hand warmer on the floor.
Yeah, as you did do that. It was excellent.
Apologies.
Everybody found it amusing. Redlick with the spray downs, keeping them safe. Westron is a little bit isolated here, slowly going down, but the vehicle giving him cover from Longs for the time being. I don't know how much longer that's going to last. INSILIO really wanting to repair now and not having a lot of time to get that breakout. Onto the high ground, Triple S outside the windowsill will try and fancy feet hot step over. Needing to be worried, the pump action's there. Westron finally bled out on the off angle, so first blood goes to TJB. Can INSILIO extract themselves from this scenario? They're keeping TJB here as well, it has to be said. And finally, that's what they're looking for, the opener with that micro Uzi. And into the ground floor they go. The pump action's there as well. Through Tian looking to try and lock down the staircase, but it isn't going to stop them from getting on in. Longs with that high ground again, such an oppressive presence for TJB.
For TJB, they have played very oddly today, let's be honest. I mean, they've caused problems. You've done it as well now.
I've dropped a hand warmer too.
I think you need to put them away.
Yeah,
I think
we both
need to put them away.
Yeah, let's put these hand warmers.
They're very good though, to be fair. Okupa's done well.
Yeah. Keeping fingers warm. Here at the PMGC. Flower on the ground floor and Triple S making their way on in. It seems like they invested their meds over towards Triple S, getting back up as high as he can do with just the bandages. And leaving 676 as an off angle, trying to pop shots through windows if those present themselves. This fight is lasting a long time though, Blank. And in the meantime, everybody else on the map is getting looted. They're getting rotated. They're getting positions in this circle, and they're making it work. A nade in from Longs, and INSILIO fall. Down they go. TJB get all 4 of them.
Really unfortunate for INSILIO. I mean, what a great start to their day today, and it has just ended in tears, to be honest with you. I mean, for them to go 43 points, match 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then to get 0 over their last 2 Miramars. And honestly, Miramar is not a bad map for INSILIO either, so it's very unfortunate that we see them here like this. In the meantime, our circle headed a little bit further over towards that eastern side, John. Dplus, once again, not too unhappy about how this all broke down, but Lamandita being central here does mean that a major feature towards that central area of the map is somewhat of an unfortunate area to pick up on.
I'm now interested in the pace that TJB can set in the rest of this game, Blank. In the rest of this match, they have to get on fairly fast. They have to get looted through Monte Nuevo. They do have that as a looting location, but Enigma Galaxy is slowly approaching from that north side, and if TJB can't get some speed into this circle, they're going to be behind the curve when it comes to getting into stage 2, stage 3. That could be pretty tricky to navigate. So we'll have to wait and see, keep on board with what they're able to accomplish. In the meantime, Alpha 7, El Pozo was extracted from. Enigma Galaxy as well, not going to come into contact. They go opposite directions from this, and so now over towards water treatment around the north side of San Martin. Alpha 7 find their entry to stage 1 circle.
For Alpha 7 is definitely a big test for them, right? Currently in 14th place. I don't think anyone from the Alpha 7 team or Alpha 7 fans expected this on day 1. But as I said, that's okay. They're a slow burner of a team, though I will say on one of their best map here on Miramar, I do think there is time to salvage this. From a northwest position in water treatment, there is viable rotations for them down towards that southeast. So I think that this could be a good marker for them to get themselves back into the tournament. And again, a lot of teams do find a massive amount of success of getting the chicken dinner of the last game of the day, because you get some fresh going into tomorrow. It resets a lot of those worries that you have from the rest of the day.
I mean, that is ideal, right? To be able to find that good meal, as the Falcons put it. Although, unfortunately, it looks like they ate a little bit too early. Indigestion for the rest of the day. Only 5 points in the last 4 matches that they played. The bulk of their points earned in the first. And they haven't really been seen since, which is unfortunate. They've had a few central positions as well in these games, Blank, so it's not like they haven't had the opportunity. It's just the execution that hasn't been on their side, unfortunately. Scrap on the western side of this central area, and it is for MV to lose a player. We haven't seen that from them today, really. And unfortunately, it will be the case in this last match that we'll see from them. They'll lose one of their players early. Let's see if they can keep themselves together. They have already surpassed a 10-point average on the day, so their job, to an extent, is done for it. And everything from this point on is gravy, but you do not want to let standards slip.
Absolutely. I mean, for RCB, 25 points, it's okay, but it's not really where we'd see a 6th place team at. For Team Spirit on the other hand, like you're saying, 10-point average looks good for them. For MV, a bit more would be nice. It really would. Yeah, it really, really would. Anything else you can bite off and chew, it's good for your point scoring. It's good for your next 2 days. A lot of the massive amount of stress comes in those last 2 matches on day 3. In the meantime, we do move up towards that northeast side. I think that if I was a player inside this lobby, I'd be quite happy the fact that we don't cut too much of that coastal edge in. That does make it a little bit awkward when you rotate through. You've got that long sloping ridge up towards that eastern side, which is always uncomfortable to play. So I think I'd be quite pleased to see this. It does create that small problem of having a lot of high grounds over on the north and south, but that'll likely work itself out going into the endgame.
Towards this east side. VOIN Donkey moving in on the north edge of this, just moving down south from El Azhar. Looks like Guild and RCB have a bit more of a hot conflict going on. Is Guild able to line up for one? They are losing players as well. RCB having a tough time of getting this one done cleanly, unfortunately for them. On the northwest side of this circle, could have been a really big impact position, but losing a player, losing Sara, taking another knockout as well, and with Influence Rage trying to poke their noses in from the north edge, this is a dangerous situation. You can see the Falcons are looking to scout out towards it. Everybody wants a piece of this third party.
Shots around the side. In the meantime, stood dead still on the inside edge, but a good shot there from Wild. Wait for the beat to come through, and now RCB should be able to get their players back up on their feet. Again, RCB would like a few more points on this one. Enigma Galaxy deep into the blue zone, but just will be emerging from it soon. Redux far behind, though, being hunted down by Longs from TJB, which is not a comfortable experience.
It's not somewhere you want to be. I mean, TJB have been pretty aggressive, I think it's safe to say, over the course of today. See if that is going to pay off for them. Right now on 11th place in the tables, they're climbing a little bit with the 4 elims they were able to find earlier on the match, on their hot drop, but I was saying I was going to keep track of their pace, and they are definitely behind in terms of getting into this next circle, of moving through this open terrain here. They are going to be late into this one, and potentially choosing to go in near Enigma Galaxy, near DRX, and near 4MV on that south side. See if they can find that opening. Na'Vi on the north, near the Vicious. Will be pushing in near Influence Rage as well. Lemon hops out. Spots Diminor, giving them the old circles, the donuts in the buggy there. But he does get backed off, a little bit too timid.
Circle up towards that northeast again. We're pushing further over towards truck stop, and you got that position over towards that north side, a little bit of a valley coming through. I think Na'Vi does actually have a fairly decent position to play in terms of high ground oversight, looking down over towards a lot of our other teams. Team Spirit is unfortunately saddled in over towards a lot of that open ground down towards that south side, but it's still fairly central, so very playable going forward. In the meantime, though, it is Enigma once again down Enigma Galaxy down towards that southwest, alongside with every other purple team, making it slightly awkward to see what's going on, but 4MV's in there, as are DRX.
Yeah, 4MV a little bit further ahead, DRX are there. Unfortunately for us, the Vicious and Influence Rage are on the northwest side, so they are split up a little bit. See if they can find their approach. Enigma Galaxy opting to go for the roadside approach, a little bit closer towards Team Spirit, not crashing all the way out east towards Impala, where DRX and 4MV currently reside. You can see we're just getting the flyover of them right now. Dplus KIA across the way towards some high ground, more central on the circle. Is the Vicious up towards the north flank that I'm really paying attention to on their position? They have this compound under control. The question for me is always, can you control the ridge side to your north? And it looks like they're investing a little bit into that. Well, I say a little bit, they're moving 3 of their players up to keep control up towards the north side ridge on this compound. If they can stop players crossing the road up there, they are going to have such great oversight if the circle shifts down south over that fielded area to their south.
It's a tough push in, honestly. DRX find one over towards VOIN Donkey ID, but it's quickly set back. I actually don't think they found a single one there. I think it was VOIN Donkey ID assisting DRX over towards 4MV. It's fair play. So 4MV goes out early in first place. So they are not unreachable in terms of this final game. I mean, if Team Spirit get even a semi-decent match here, they could likely be finishing in first place, which for Team Spirit, dream come true, honestly. You know, they went from strength to strength this year, and we've seen that team struggle at a bunch of different hurdles through the years. trying to get themselves towards a position where they have the team that they like. They have a strong shot at the title. But coming through into the PMGC groups, getting a first place in their group was huge. I think a lot of people didn't expect that, considering that they had dropped the ball on a few tournaments before that as well. So for them, this is a big chance. And I think it's the strongest we'll see Team Spirit in a long, long time. There's a question of whether they can maintain it going into the next year. But right now, I would say that this is their chance at the trophy.
On the south side, Nick Galaxy trying to stop TJB's roll-up. Successful pick-off onto Longs. Ralph flexing out onto the high ground ridgeline on the roadside approach that they've taken to the south edge of this circle. It does shift over to the northeast edge of it. And TJB trying to patch themselves up, but the nades just keep on rolling, flowing forwards, followed by players. Snowix up and into the fight. Flower has no chance. 676, Triple S trying to move around behind and maybe catch Nick Galaxy a little bit too aggressive on it, but careening down into the valley is not the way to go. Triple S going to be lit up and torn apart, surely. But Redux has fallen, and actually they're trading off fairly well. Dipping back behind the rock, has a first day to play around, and Narvalo's now down as well. I might have spoken too soon.
I think you have. You're giving it large for Nick Galaxy, but it's not the case as TJB comes back on through. 2 players left remaining, 676, as well as Triple S. 2 awesome names to say, to be quite honest with you. Very stylish.
Oh, yeah.
676 definitely struggling, though, going forward. Na'Vi taking a knock off in the distance. That's the Influence Rage, and very unresable, actually. He's right off in the distance, and I think at stage 4 now, yeah, I think they have to give him up. And for Na'Vi, who had great oversight on that northern side, that is such an unfortunate loss for them. That's great. I don't know how he lives that, but he does.
Standing tall here, but Team Spirit, you can see them off in the distance. They've actually moved 2 players down south towards this. They are flexing, third partying here. So a 2-2 split for Team Spirit. They know no one's going to be crashing their position now on the southwest side of the circle. So they're taking a risk, and it may just pay off in this scenario. With Triple S going down, it's just the 2 players from the Galaxy, the 1 out here as well. But 676 finds Ralph, does get traded off with the pump action from Snowix, but Team Spirit find the final shot from Nomi. This flex out works out. Both teams behind them taken out. They have a clear run now into the circle.
Dplus is still scouting these concretes. There's a real good chance here for Team Spirit to just fly on in. With also going down off the distance as well, they might spot that vehicle heading over towards the eastern side. This is the opportunity for Team Spirit. The fact that no one's taken this compound on the south side is crazy to me. But for Team Spirit, it might not be the best compound in the world, but it is certainly a position to play. For the Falcons, though, picking up 2 eliminations over towards Influence Rage. Action still struggling at the outside in the blue. This is one of those moments where I think Team Spirit has been experimenting with this, has done quite well with it, but sometimes you just got to take a chance, boys.
Falcons losing 1 on the off angle. I don't think that's going to be resible for them. It's stage 4 and the zone is upon them already. That should get flushed away. Falcons regroup as 3 and action will go down. Influence Rage, though, eliminated in the meantime. On the north side, they haven't been able to push past Falcons and Na'Vi despite extracting a little bit of value from it. Only the 1 point on the match. It will be Na'Vi moving in from the north alongside the Falcons to try and cross towards the Vicious. Now, this is that compound that I was talking about earlier. If they can keep that ridgeline to their north under control, they have still got an amazingly strong spot. I'm also looking at VOIN Donkey ID out to the east side of this one to be able to hold down their compound and, again, provide themselves with that strength to launch into a strong game to close the day.
Yeah, it's massively dependent on where this circle goes next. I mean, it could head up towards that north side, in which case you're absolutely right. Both those positions are very good. And in a weird way, this circle is split down the middle vertically, where you do have the Vicious as well as the VOIN Donkey on completely the opposite ends of things. With that circle, though, just further over towards VOIN Donkey ID. And now Team Spirit, because they didn't take that chance earlier to head over to where currently Dplus is playing, they're likely going to have a bit of a struggle of a game. There's still a chance for a crash, but that's what it will have to be.
Falcons have an opening with Thunder Talk taking a knock on the Xing. They could potentially try and roll this one down, but still, even sweeping through here, it's not great because you don't have the circle at the end of it. So putting pressure on, sure. Slowing down, excellent. But where do you go? Beyond that, not too many options. I'm also taking a look down towards Team Spirit because they're just about on their rollout now. With the fighting on the north side, the Vicious putting a lot of pressure up towards the north. There's a potential for Team Spirit to be able to sneak on through here. Dplus KIA may be able to spot this one out with Fabian moving in on the south side, but it's actually the Vicious with their last player down on that south side of their compound hold to be able to slow down Team Spirit. However, the rest of them do make it across and into the compound.
Yeah, they're on the northern edge. I mean, they're not quite in yet. They're on the outside. It's Dplus currently holding this, and they should now know what's going on. Very unlikely they'll be able to pick up Nomi. They're far too preoccupied right now with Dplus, who are starting to mount a hold, but they're ahead of them. So technically, things are going well. Chips could be that outside chance for them with that high ground. On our screens, though, it is Na'Vi going up against Alpha 7. This is a very important fight to be watching here.
Yeah, on the north side, Na'Vi trying to block them out. Alpha 7 have a linchpin as well down towards the south side with Mafioso, that Lone Ranger for them. So it is a 3v3 on the north edge with Alpha 7 and Na'Vi. Team Spirit lost another blank. They're down to 2 players alive, and they're looking to try and chase towards that 60-point margin, stay alive for a little bit longer. They have got a position, so we'll see how much further they can go. Lemon regrouping with the rest of Na'Vi, but they haven't been able to find an opening towards Alpha 7. Both of them, however, get into this next stage circle.
Stage 6 probably going to be the one that causes the most problems for these teams. Ooh, this particular area, very an Alpha 7 area actually, over on this western side. I think I've seen at least 2 matches go to chicken dinners for Alpha 7 over on this forested area of the map, just because Revo was so good with the DBS, just in and out, ducking around, just being able to find those shots through the trees. Real blast of the past of previous PMGCs, honestly. Na'Vi, though, doing a good job holding this high ground. Obviously, they lost a player earlier on, but that was much earlier. And still playing as 3 is not too bad. Again, super open around this spot. A lot of teams will be taking casualties left, right, and center.
VOIN Donkey ID as well. We talked about their position a bit earlier. I'm looking for them to really start to leverage now. Over towards shots on the south side. I'm thinking maybe over towards DRX, although it's difficult to find the lineups. Dplus KIA going to try and move through the ground, but the question is how much can they hold out this east edge? And I think Alpha 7 is their major threat right now. As an approach from that east side could be viable for Alpha 7 to try and go for. With this shift as well, I think it may be what we're going to see from the Brazilians.
Yeah, they're trying to remove Na'Vi, and then likely they'll attempt to play around that compound from VOIN Donkey ID. The Vicious, though, tough plan for them getting out. Luckily, Team Spirit as well as Thunder Talks have been taking knocks, and the Vicious might just be able to, with a shovel, excavate themselves from this location. Good shot over towards Matic, will flush him out. I believe it's just 1 player left remaining now for Team Spirit in Kitsune. 3 eliminations on the game, though. It's not terrible. That sits themselves just 11 points behind 4MV at the end of the day.
Depending on how many placements they can get as teams start to fall, this approach is going to be treacherous. 10 teams are remaining here, Blank, into stage 6. Getting a little bit into the weeds on it, but 29 players, we're seeing dribs and drabs of players making it through. Na'Vi trying to sweep back over towards the Falcons, who have been fighting on for a long, long time now. Just Icy on top. The Vicious making their move now as well. The roll-up. There's a potential roll out for Kitsune, moving a little bit closer, trying to get into some ditches, some defilades to stay safe. RCB under pressure on the south side as Dplus make their push from the south edge as well. Wild holding his nerve, but Loxy's down, and so he is just the 1 player.
A lot of teams at the moment struggling going forward. The Vicious thought that they got themselves out from that tough spot on that northwest side. It's not meant to be. Falcons once again close the door on them. I'll have to move through that one in the meantime. Dplus down towards that southwest edge. They did a great job, honestly. Chips were doing so much scouting earlier on, which allowed them to make these kind of rotations.
Ooh. A nasty little trade there. The roll down, the Vicious going to go straight over the Falcons, and their approach to Na'Vi can now continue. They managed to find 1. They tumble down the hillside. Weapons bristling from the windows, and it's going to spike down Na'Vi into the dust. Losing 1 on the roll-up. Bruno's in. May be able to get rezzed here, though. They've got some cover and a little bit of time to play with.
For the Vicious, that is a very resilient hold on the northwest, and they pick their time very well on that side of things. The fact they were able to make their way in that short moment of time where it was briefly open for that crash. Wonderful stuff. Great nade. Unfortunate finish there for Team Spirit. Will be going down in 8th place, but Na'Vi will pick themselves up 5 eliminations. It's been a very generous map, I would say, in terms of offering up points to practically everybody, and that's RCB out now too, which leaves us with a very quick from 10 teams, now just down to 6.
It's Dplus KIA again to be able to get 7 elims so far. They're in with a solid spot on the southwest. This is potentially a back-to-back really strong resurgence from Dplus KIA into Miramar. And I'm happy to see it. South Korea definitely on the up at the end of day 1 here. The question is, how much further can they go? DRX right across the ridgeline with just their outpost, Kaikse, on that south edge. We'll put them on notice if he wants to step up. Does have full information on Dplus KIA. He's not going for the peaks right now because he knows he doesn't have the backup from the rest of the team. If he gets knocked, that's it. But Chips hits the deck and immediately can see Kaikse wants to step up. That may have been spotted. No, I don't think so, as DRX still yet to go for that full roll-up. However, the circle means that it's likely going to happen.
Yeah, it doesn't send on to either Dplus or VOIN Donkey, so this will force a fight between both of them in that end game. I think both VOIN Donkey and Dplus, though, happy just to hold out their positions, whilst all the rest of the teams likely will be a scrap between the both of them, unless Alpha 7 has anything to say about it. Currently on your screens at the moment, Soez with the M249 doing a ton of damage through to them right now. Probably the least accuracy in the world, but it was effective.
Hey man, when you've got that many rounds in the magazine, you just need a few of them to connect, and that is how he's going to play it on the hold. It's effective here, and DRX with 3, fending off Alpha 7's roll-arounds. 2 of their players fall quickly. CARYA turns away with the buggy. QXZ with the rotate out towards the tractor, gets caught. CARYA is still fighting through. Hyunbin now, actually the last to stand. Kaitse got taken down on the off angle, and the spray downs underneath for CARYA. He needs to stand up for Alpha 7.
How is he
alive?
alive?
Again, no! The shutdown comes through, and it's DRX to weather the approach. Hyunbin on a sliver of HP.
This man's basically Frankenstein, pieced together by sewing string. I can't believe he lived that one, honestly. He had the pump shotgun around the side as well, just peeking out. Good stuff. Hyunbin very well might just deny the point here. VOIN Donkey making a big push over towards the Vicious. All popping off, actually. Every single team is looking to stab over towards the Vicious. Dplus going in, Chips remains on the outside, but this is a full assault coming through from VOIN Donkey ID.
Tato with the challenge, 1v1, wins it now. Attention turned towards Dplus KIA. 4 versus 4, a little bit low on the HP bar, and the first knock goes the way of Dplus KIA. They find the second as well. Now Razak on the high ground needs to get something done. Will find that opener, still dipping out into the blue, confirms the flush, but turned around on. Potato now on the off angle, tries to keep it together, but with 3 players for Dplus KIA, the order is tall, but he might be able to stand up to the mark. Nolbu finds those flushes on the back line. And it is now 3 players bearing down upon Potato, looking for the res onto Vexy. A 2v3 is possible.
That's an unfortunate situation. Honestly, if Vexy was alive there, totally different fight. Because they have to come off the broadside on that hill. It's so unfortunate that Vexy goes down in that situation, because that pretty much would have just been a complete cleanup for VOIN Donkey. I have no doubt in my mind that Vexy would have hit those shots. And like you say, we're into a 2v3. Chips was basically nowhere to be seen as well, by the way. It would have been a 4v3 in that situation.
But they're back up into it now. Nades going either way. The reflex outs coming through from VOIN Donkey ID. 1 pickoff, and then they're into an even battle. That is how you need to play these 2v3s. To find those small little openings, those over-aggressions from Dplus KIA. The middle of the circle, necessary to keep under control as well.
Nice shot from Nolbu. Vexy barely shows his head. He takes off tufts of hair in the process. Early haircut, apparently. Tato, though, getting scarily close. With 3 nades, it actually is somewhat worrisome for them. Vexy heads up first. We'll send a nade over the top. Good damage indeed.
That looks like a good nade, but it's not going to be responded on towards the MG3 for Vexy. He's got to charge forwards. Osal's low, gets caught, clipped.
No.
And that is the opportunity they were looking for. Finding that opening knock, it's 2v3. There's damage already sent over towards Nolbu, and the nade looks to be on target. Confirming the flush doesn't quite connect with the nade, but the damage is done. The Molotov on the high ground, but there's that answer that they were looking for. Chips is storming forwards in the meantime. The MG3 out of action, and it is Dplus KIA to be able to win out that final little scrap. An excellent result for them coming off of a strong Miramar into a chicken dinner on the Miramar. This is how you end your day.
Potato's much more that support player at the end of the day. And I think you look at Vexy there, he's making all the plays, all the moves, and Potato's just trying to hold his bank. And as soon as Vexy goes down, I think Potato fumbles a little bit, let's be honest. Again, we have to remember this is a rookie team. The fact that VOIN Donkey is this strong is unbelievable. But what a great game from them. Definitely gets them back to the groove of things. Dplus, chicken dinner. That's what we wanted to see.
Absolutely. They had a little bit of a short start towards the day at the moment. The first 4 matches not great, but they have really ramped up the pace, and we love to see it. It is just the sort of thing that we expect to see here at PMGC, and it is an excellent shutdown on the day.
Do I have the lucky charm? I'm talking about Dplus, and it's been a little bit of a letdown. I'm talking about how we saw them in the league stage. Osal originally be the player to step up. Then we saw Nobu, then we saw Chips, and finally able to round out the day here with the chicken dinner. 7-7, I'm not going to acknowledge you anymore. Max, just you here with us. Dplus had a great resurgence here at the very end of the day.
He's not here today. So Dplus, great position, realistically 7. Best split early game. Oh my god, top and 2 plays in the compound. You get so much info and a great opportunity to take bites and shots from a distance. These stats, he's filling out the pentagram.
चलो टॉप में फोड़े भी नहीं है। मैं वैसे तो यहाँ पे टीम को सपोर्ट कर रहा हूँ। एक है फोड़े भी, एक है तो देखते हैं कल नेक्स्ट मैच है, कल फिर से आएंगे, कल क्या करते हैं। फिलहाल तो टॉप में तो बैठा ही हुआ है वैसे, देखते हैं। चलो मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट वीडियो पे, तब तक के लिए टाटा। चैनल सब्सक्राइब करके रखना सब लोग।
Dplus KIA is great, especially highlighted have those Miramar games.
It's always great to see how some of this teams get definitely a lot better in certain maps. And I feel like one thing that Dplus KIA was able to do here was splits, Max, because we were talking about them. You were able to actually point them out to me. There's splits that they were able to do. I think at one point they had a 2-1-1 split.
Yes.
And then on top of that, towards the later of the match, towards the late stages, they had full control of the southwest circle. And on top of that, they saw the Vicious starting to make a move towards the north. They fully crashed down on them.
And the reason they had so much control is purely off the back of that 2-1-1 split, right? The information they had, they saw where most of the teams were positioned, what compounds were taken, and because of that, they had information on Team Spirit, and also I think there was a team coming up onto the northwestern side, and it just kind of targeted down those teams. I think it was actually RCB. They target down those teams to make sure we have full control of the southern western edge, and then we start sweeping, we start getting near limbs, and because of those dips, especially in this kind of terrain, those dips to the west are so strong for them, and it just obliterate everyone that's in a 100-meter vicinity.
And for VOIN Donkey, I mean, this is a great bounce back for this team. We saw them start off the day really well, and then on top of that, they kind of fell off. You know, they started off the day, what was it? 5th place, 2nd place, 3rd place, and then they kind of fell off with 11th place, 13th place. Not what you wanted to see out of them, but for this one, they were able to kind of third-party fights between Alpha 7. On top of that, they were able to do the finishing, once again, top 2. That's what we wanted to see out of VOIN Donkey, for them to be able to have a chance, if they want to get a chance to fight for that championship on Sunday, start having those good performances again. We don't want to see those 11th place, 13th place not being able to back it up with any eliminations.
Speaking of fighting for the championship, one team that really struggled on Miramar, probably because there's no hovercrafts. It's going to be INSILIO. 2 games, they go out first with 0 eliminations.